Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's vOLTHA TST. Thanks for joining. As usual, the call is public and recorded and will be shared live on YouTube, so please be mindful of the comments you make and the information you share. First of all, just a reminder, right after this call, there is the vOLTHA 2.9 webinar that myself, Theo, and Ken will hold on the updates and information about vOLTHA 2.9. So if you're interested in a recap, just go ahead and register there and you can follow us on that webinar. Second topic of the day, I just want to make sure to let everybody know that we've discussed the roadmap for 2.10 with the operators. Right before this call, the roadmap was approved. So this is the set of elements that we are, as a community, are going to work on. These are the things that we will be focusing on during the next 6 months. The vOLTHA 2.10 release is scheduled to be released on the 30th of June 2022, with a code freeze around the 3rd of June. That will give us some good time. There are some the points, scale, FTTB, VoIP. There's going to be maybe some discussion. I see David has some thoughts on the rolling software upgrade. I added it to the TST agenda, so we can discuss that as well. We still have to hear from Deutsche Telekom about their latest requirements of metrics, alarm, and events. And it was also, there was one point that was added today to the roadmap. From a design discussion perspective, we also want to reach consensus on the state of the support for combo bonds. So have that design completed in order for vOLTHA to be capable of, at runtime, swap the technology of a given port, have the technology of a given port being recognized and handled accordingly. So that was added today at the request of Netcenter Telecom. So we will at least kickstart the discussion over there. That is the 2.10 roadmap. The key point here for this combo PON support is really runtime, because we do have already devices that are working either in GPON or XGS-PON mode that are combo devices that are already working under vOLTHA. It's just not at runtime. You have to reboot the device and change the Debian package to support them both. So that is where that is what the 2.10 roadmap consists of. Before I go further, any questions or comments on this specific roadmap? And obviously for these, we will get into the support of the testing framework and all of that as well. So there has been already ongoing work for thinking about testing the FTTB, the VoIP, and also the rolling upgrades, at least to the extent we have right now. So all of this will be included with tests. There is one small update I can give everybody. We did actually start already 4,000 ONUs Deutsche Telekom job. So 2 OLTs, 2,048 ONUs each. And it seems that it is working. It's a few initial runs, so I will have to look more into it, but it seems that one vOLTHA stack can actually handle 2 OLTs with 2,048 subscriber each. So that is good news. We'll have to obviously expand on that with looking, for example, at the 10 stacks. If 10 stacks can actually support 40,000 subscribers, that would be amazing. We will see. But just as a little bit of an update, that is as of this morning, Pacific time, European time. Any questions or comments?
Andrea, perhaps we can next try the 4 key ONUs on a single OLT.
Yeah, that could be also something that we can do, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, just an update for everyone. This test is running with 4,000 subscribers on 4,000 ONUs with a single uniport. So actually the number of uniports that are reported to ONUs is the same as the number of ports that were reported on the 1,000 subscriber job we had before, with the difference that in the previous iteration we were running with 1,000 ONU with 4 uniport each, only one of which was enabled, while most operators in the field are deploying ONUs with a single uni, but they want to have a higher number of subscribers, so we started testing that use case too.
Yes, thanks, Theo. But we have 4 times the number of flows because we are provisioning subscribers on all of the 4,000 ports. So
yeah, absolutely. I didn't want to diminish the achievement in any way. I just wanted to make sure that everyone was aware of the different configuration. Yes, I think it's a great news that it's working with 4 times the number of flows.
Yes, and also just as a reminder to everybody, this is with persistence of a TCD enabled, and the NVMe disks on the ONF scale cluster. So this is effectively the same exact cluster we were using before, just we created another job. And we'll take a look at this and possibly also try one single OLT, where the difference is that with 2 OLTs, you're writing on different keys within a TCD, and so there might be slower performance with one OLT's 4,000 ONUs each, 4,000 ONU for that OLT within one vOLTHA stack. We'll have to test that as well. So we'll progress on that front. Okay.
One question for Theo.
Yeah.
So Theo, is the number of unis that BBSIM reports configurable on the command line of BBSIM?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's configurable both via the CLI in BBSIM if you run it as a standalone component, or through the Helm chart if you deploy it. If you look in the vOLTHA docs under the BBSIM section, there is a list of all the options that BBSIM supports.
And yeah, so that's how we actually configure it in the Helm chart in the scale job. We configure one UNI to be reported for one ONU.
So just wanted to check. So was there any change that was done off late to support this? Because I thought earlier, at least, it was because when you change the number of unis, the ME configuration also changes, right? So I thought that ME configuration was not per uni. So was there any change that was done off late?
It was done, I think, around a year ago, when we switched from the hard-coded MIB database to the customized.
Okay, thanks. I'll have a look.
If you're interested, I can send you example of the configuration to report a single unit.
That would be helpful. Yeah, thanks.
Okay. You can also see it on Jenkins if you're interested in it under the scale tab.
Yeah, thanks, Andrea.
Now it failed, so we need to take a look at that, at why. But this was a successful run. This took a little bit too much. As I said, initial runs, but it's good. It shows good good trajectory at least. Okay. Any more comments or thoughts on the 2.10 roadmap? No? Okay. And if not, I would like to hear if there are any comments on the patches from Ken on the streaming service for the container restart.
Yeah, I've not seen any patches on any comments on those patches yet. I guess maybe a lot of folks were away last week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I still have to rebase the code, but any comment would be very welcome.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I also have to personally take a look at those. Okay. Then, as I said, I've added. Ken, do you have any more points on the container restart?
No. That's all good. Thanks.
Okay, thanks. I also added the rolling software upgrade topic here. David had a good point that Kubernetes supports different type of rolling upgrade. So to the best of my knowledge, what we do support at this point in time is the simplest one, meaning that you have a container running, you request Kubernetes the upgrade to another image or other version of that component, and Kubernetes spins up the other component with the new version, the container with the new version, and then after that, when that becomes ready, it just kills the previous one. So for all intents and purposes, for us, this is a container restart. We do have tests that make sure that the container restarts work. So I am confident that the rolling upgrade actually works. Those were developed by Hardik and the testing team a while back. And we have also we started thinking about the next set of tests, where we are actually not only checking that there is no data plane impact on the functionality, on the users that are deployed during this upgrade, but also we would like to check that there is no functionality impact in terms from the northbound. So we want to make sure that there is no, that we can still accept requests. So I know Hardik is working on some tests that will ask to provision a subscriber during a restart of a container. So Hardik, do you have anything to add?
No, Andrea. I've just started writing the test on the same lines, but yeah, I haven't tried it yet. So the plan is, as you said, right? We'll simultaneously fire two things. One is upgrading the image, and right after we'll try to configure the subscriber. And then we'll see, okay, that the container should come back up with the new image, and post that we should see all the flows and all the regular checks for a subscriber should be good. So that's the plan for the test as of now.
And I believe this to be enough for the support of rolling upgrades. If both of these tests are present and passing, I would believe that we can call this functional. I would still like to understand if there are any concerns about this. So maybe not at this point in time. I added it to the agenda. So if you guys have thoughts about it, maybe you can consolidate them. Or if you know of a different requirement than what I just described, feel free to consolidate your thoughts and send them over, and we can discuss them maybe at a further TST. This was just added to the agenda.
I think David has 2 points he mentioned in the chat. He's asking if we are also planning to have a downgrade test or a rollback in case the upgrade fails.
Okay, those are two very good. Those are two very good points. We have to think about those. I think both of them are actually important. The downgrade, that is interesting. I think that from a downgrade perspective, if we're talking no API change, that is effectively the same thing as an upgrade, at least in my perspective. Because
yes, I guess so.
Because you're effectively changing just the container with an older version. And if you didn't change the data nor change the API, you should be good to go.
Yeah, and actually, I tell you intentionally, at times we do that. In the test, we mention the image, and sometimes, what happens is still we kind of deploy it with the master, it goes to the latest, and then the test. Till the time we don't update that test input, it kind of downgrades it. So I think it's kind of working for the minor versions, without an API change. Sure, should be similar. Yes.
So for the upgrade, we are still targeting only minor versions, correct? So no API changes and no
Yes.
data changes in the store.
Yes.
So yeah, effectively the upgrade and downgrade is just a container stuff.
Yes.
Exactly.
There is role is need. You just need to start the old container. Actually, I even think that Kubernetes wants, if the new container starts, Kubernetes won't even stop the old one. So
No, I checked this. Until the new one becomes ready, the old one does not proceed. The old one, the Kubernetes does not delete the old one. The
Yes.
only the issue could be to detect an automatic functionality failure, but that's hard because, well, you don't know. So detecting the fact that the new container doesn't work as expected, if it actually goes up in Kubernetes is ready and it's deployed and it becomes the container, the default container for the functionality, and then the functionality doesn't work, an automatic rollback, that is, I think, a little bit out of scope here.
Yeah, I think for Kubernetes, if the container is up good, it doesn't care about the internal functionality, I guess.
oh yeah, absolutely. I was meaning if by any chance you deploy a completely broken container that fails to start, then Kubernetes won't tear down the old one. But if a container starts, Kubernetes doesn't know anything about whether it actually works or not.
Yeah, I think we can try that easily. I'll try it tomorrow, probably.
So I think that you can still focus on the functionality, Hardik, of the the subscriber test that we
Yes.
mentioned before.
Yeah, the control plane basically.
Yeah. And I believe that the only item that we could discuss, but I'm not sure to which extent, is this, which is what happens if the new container doesn't work, but it passes readiness. Does anybody have any idea if there is anything we can do except a manual intervention here?
Well, you can get as fancy as you want and have an operator that if the container doesn't start, that redeploy the old version, but I honestly don't think it's the case to do that. Because most likely when an operator runs an upgrade, someone is watching that everything was fine, and if not, can reissue an Helm upgrade command with the older version.
Yeah, so effectively what you're saying is that this is a manual step. That is what I would agree with, but open to thoughts.
Yeah, I agree. It is definitely manual. And here, when you're saying it doesn't work, but passes readiness and liveness check, what do you mean by doesn't work? Like doesn't have access to data? The data was corrupted, or
it
no
means
connection to
that
something?
it means that the end-to-end functionality cannot be achieved. Meaning, for example, we cannot provision a subscriber.
Okay, it would be interesting to have a way for the operator to see that a little bit clearly, like because if there's some basic things that doesn't work, then it would be nice if the container just crash, or we'll need to have some alarms or something happening that clearly shows that there's something wrong with that upgrade.
To me, the issue here is the detection of such a thing.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't really know how to detect it. I think operators have mechanisms in place that if you start up a vOLTHA cluster and you actually ask to provision a subscriber and it does not, it maybe redeploys the cluster. But to be honest, maybe this is something that we need to understand better.
Yeah, I would think so, yeah.
So the other thing that I think I need to do after we prove all of this and we make sure that the functionality is there, there is a need to document all of this in the vOLTHA docs. So I will do that as soon as I have, as soon as we have the tests running, as soon as we finalize these open points, I'll make sure to document this properly in the docs, where there is already an upgrade section, and I will expand that, describing all of this. And I'll try to think about this, and if anybody has any thoughts, just feel free to send them over via Slack. Okay, so there are then 2 other items, but I will not like to go into depth here today. The microservice controller, we already discussed it. There is ongoing work with few folks to see if we could upstream some of existing things and do some work over there. The other topic that we will discuss in depth next week, but I wanted to share the document, so if people have some time, they could start taking a look at it. It's the FTTB, so fiber to the building, the basement, depending on how you interpret it and how you deploy it. This is a design document from Amit and the Radisys team for the implementation within a Deutsche Telekom workflow. Document is very well done. There are only some minor elements that Amit is still working on. There are already comments. There was already comments from myself, from Theo, from Michael. But I would encourage you guys to take a look at the document so you can come prepared for the discussion next week, which is going to happen on this. So the next week's TST, the key focus will be this FTTB design discussion. And you guys can go, we can go over that for then the Radisys team to start implementing it. I hope that's fine for you, Amit, if we take a look at the document this week and then finalize the discussion next week.
Sure. Yeah.
And I mean, thanks for adding the comments. I've seen your message. I haven't had the time to go through them yet, but I'll definitely go through it this week.
Yeah, do share your inputs.
There is also an updated version of the voice over IP support that the guys at Netsia will share, and we will discuss that one as well. I'm waiting for Mahir to share that final version of the document with me. There are some minor changes of what we discussed in the past. So we'll do that, and we'll see what those changes are and how we can best include also the voice over IP support. On the voice over IP support, we started looking at including it to vSIM, and that's also something that we are working on, and we will be discussing it most likely tomorrow at the Open ONU Go call. Okay, so that was all I had on the agenda for today. But I would like to open up the floor if anybody has any thoughts or things that they want to bring up. This could be a good time. No? Okay. Then if not, we get half an hour back of our day. If you guys are interested, I hope you join the webinar that's going to start in half an hour. And I'll see you soon again next week or over mailing list and Slack. Thanks, everybody. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.